This is Tilo Wolff from Lacrimosa, and we are coming to Bogota on June the 1st, and we are so much looking forward to see you, join us, and here you are listening and watching Alejandrosis. So I hope I pronounced it right.
Lacrimosa es una de las agrupaciones icónicas del metal gótico, algo que va desde la estética de la dupla de cantantes conformada por Tilo Wolff en compañía de Anne Nurmi, la melancolía de sus composiciones donde la poesía, lo sinfónico, lo etéreo e incluso los matices electrónicos conviven, todo ello presentado bajo las carátulas de sus discos siempre en blanco y negro, como si se tratase de películas del cine expresionista alemán del siglo XX. Y qué decir de su logo con un arlequín que es muy diciente de las emociones que ellos despiertan. Esta banda regresa a nuestro país para presentar su más reciente producción discográfica titulada Lament, con un show programado para este domingo 1 de junio en Bogotá. Es por eso que el día de hoy quiero compartirles mi conversación con el señor Tilo Wolff, su principal compositor y fundador en este nuevo capítulo de Alejandrosis. Sean ustedes muy bienvenidos. Antes de partir, quiero invitarlos a que se suscriban al canal de Alejandrosis si aún no lo han hecho, activen las notificaciones y si este video es de su agrado, por favor compártanlo. Un me gusta también nos ayuda mucho a crecer en este canal. Esta será la quinta visita de Lacrimosa a Bogotá. Su debut se produjo hace 15 años, más precisamente un 7 de octubre del 2010, en un recinto entonces conocido como el Downtown Majestic, hoy el Auditorio Mayor Kun, y es allí donde precisamente se realizará este nuevo encuentro, este show 2025 con esta agrupación que tiene origen en Alemania, pero que actualmente reside en Suiza, o al menos el señor Tilo Wolff, ya que al momento de esta entrevista me atendió desde la ciudad de Basilea, y debo decirles que me sorprende su lozanía, su buen estado físico. Tras 35 años de estar al frente de Lacrimosa, él luce muy bien, como si se tratase de un vampiro que hace un pacto, pues los años le han pasado en vano. De sus memorias acerca de cada uno de estos conciertos en Bogotá, comienza esta entrevista.
Many remembrance from the performances as well as from all the atmospheres that I got when I was visiting your country, because it's, you know, for us it's always also important to get to know the city in which we are, to get to know the food especially, and to meet the people. And we had so great people always to who took care of us, who, you know, showed us around in the city and brought us to beautiful restaurants. So this is something I really admire. And what I recall in Colombia, it was always really special because the people are so warm-hearted. And once we had like 3 days a break in between a tour, and we spent those days in Colombia. And I gotta tell you, I saw in a building, I saw a high building, there was an advertisement, flats to rent, and I thought like, wow, that would be something to have a flat here. So I really fell in love with Bogota, and I'm very much looking forward to come back.
Great. I remember going to a Lacrimosa show and feeling like the performance had already started before the concert itself had begun. Let me explain. It's common to go to a theater or a venue and see tons of people, mostly men, in their jeans and black t-shirts, you know. But
Okay.
this time with Lacrimosa, the feeling was different. There were a lot of women, which I think is very good, but they were also very dressed up in their best clothes, skirts, corsets, hairstyles, makeup. Among the men, also, I saw coats, I saw hats, and even makeup. It's clear that the audience doesn't treat you as another show, but it's like a ceremony and a special day.
I see it the same way, and I really appreciate that people that I sense that we are taking care about the entire atmosphere. It's not just going to a show and watching a band playing something. It's like a small theater play actually, and the audience is as much involved and as important actually as the band itself, because when we are on stage we see the audience the whole time, and we get back so many emotions and so many also feelings and situations where people are kissing, or you see suddenly you start a song and people start crying, and you realize right away, okay, that this song is especially for this couple something important. And all that, this is like a theater play where the audience inspires us on stage and the other way around, and people sense it. And I really love it that you guys celebrate it that much. And so it makes a Lacrimosa concert to something really unique.
Okay, you were in Brazil earlier this month as part of the Bangers Festival. You have been in Brazil since before your first performance here in Colombia, and it happens every now and then that Lacrimosa includes Latin America in their plans. Thinking about the connection with the Latin crowds, have you ever thought in recording a song in Spanish?
Well, we did this Durch Nacht und Flut, which has two versions, and in one version we have the Spanish part in the end, which we of course always also love to play in Spanish-speaking countries. But so far I didn't think of writing an entire song in Spanish, because my Spanish is rather not existing. So I would need to know more Spanish to be able to write at least some kind of a basic lyric, and then somebody would need to help. Maybe it happens in the future. We always talk about it, but yeah, so far we didn't do it.
Okay. For the people that don't go to a Lacrimosa concert yet, what can you tell me about your performance? You said before it's like a theater play. It's special. You not only you and Mrs. Anne. You play with other musicians. What can you tell me about the Lacrimosa experience live?
I mean, first, to come back to this idea of the theater play, I would need to make a little explanation there, because it's something between a rock show and a theater play. Because a theater play, of course, is something which is planned, and where everybody knows exactly what to say at which point of the play. This is of course not the case, because we are mainly a live band, and this is and we start variating songs on stage, and sometimes we, in the middle of the set, we take one song out and take another one in if we feel like it. So it's kind of it's still a rock show, but with a theatrical kind of atmosphere. So so when the people come to Lacrimosa to see a show from Lacrimosa, they can expect to, of course, recognize the songs. That is important, but we don't play them one to one as people know them from the albums, because studio production and live playing live is really different. You are in the studio. I write the scores. People know exactly what they need to play, and I have my vision of how it's supposed to sound, because of course I got to live with it for the rest of my life. I mean, albums that I did 20 or 30 years ago, they are still, I need to like them still nowadays. A concert there can be also something happen where I say in the end, oh my God, that was a bit, well, hard on the edge, and so we experiment, and we try out things, and sometimes we are even driven by emotions, and I start, for example, singing where there's no singing part, and the band, okay, they have to listen to it, and then they play along. So this is what sometimes happens. So it's like, to make it short or to bring it to the point, when you visit a Lacrimosa concert, you enter another level of Lacrimosa.
Algo que me parece muy importante es que si un grupo internacional nos visita, venga con material fresco, con argumentos de peso para presentarse en alguno de los escenarios de este país. Y este es el caso de Lacrimosa, que en 2025 lanzó Lament, el título número 15 en su amplia discografía. He tenido la oportunidad de escuchar esta obra de poco más de una hora, 10 temas, y debo decir que lo encontré bastante interesante. Arranca de manera introspectiva, pero poco a poco lo va envolviendo a uno hasta que se encuentra el clímax, siempre con esa onda dramática, melancólica, sombría, pero que tiene toda una virtud. Acerca del resultado final, Tilo Wolff nos comenta a continuación.
Well, I'm very, very happy with the final result. The good thing is that I don't have a record company or a producer or management or anybody who tells me you have to bring out the album this and that date, or we wanted to listen, or that it sounds like this or that. So I can do it all by myself, and I decide myself when the album comes out. So I'm only bringing the album out when I'm 100% content. I'm not bringing anything out where I think like, oh my God, I would need actually another month to do it. So therefore I'm 100% content with the result of the album. And I'm really, really happy of this piece, because I, you know, when I find myself opening a red wine and listening to my own music, then I realize, yeah, I achieved it. It's okay. I like it. And that happened many, many times with Lament now. So and the great thing then, yeah, the second part of your question, people also seem to like this album a lot. This is always, of course, a challenge, because I never know if the people are following the same path that I do. Of course, if we would be a more commercial or more traditional band, always releasing the same kind of album, then would be more easy, and then I could be more relaxed when I bring out an album, thinking like, okay, the people, they might like it because it sounds like the last album and the albums before. So it's always very exciting to bring out a new album, and then to find out if people like it or not. I remember, for example, many, many, many years ago, but there was one album, we brought it out and people were like, what the hell is going on now with you? It's horrible. It's yeah, it's not Lacrimosa anymore. We don't like it. Well, and it, of course, was not so funny. And then it took some years, and nowadays it's one of the most beloved albums of the entire history of Lacrimosa. Therefore, even though if the people wouldn't accept the album right away, I always also have the hope that in the years they find a way to it. But now I really feel that the people love this album. That, of course, makes me even more happy to go on tour with a new album, because then you know when you play the new songs, the people are waiting for them and they like them.
Okay, which album was it?
Actually, the entire thing that I said after that, it was not important to tell anything anymore, because your mind was only that was the album Echoes.
Estamos en la previa de Lacrimosa en Colombia. Lacrimosa, qué nombre, ¿ah? Tomado de la sobrecogedora, famosa pieza de Mozart. Algo que encuentro muy admirable de este grupo es su sentido de independencia, de hacer las cosas a su manera, sin importar las modas, los cambios en la industria. Cada uno de sus discos ha salido bajo su propio sello, Half of Sermon. Y por ahí continúa el diálogo con el señor Tilo Wolff.
Started actually when I was sending around the first demo tapes, and I got contract proposals from record companies where they were telling me like, okay, you need to take this song out, and we decided about the album artwork and everything, and I realized, okay, this is not the way I want to work. I don't want to be a rock star or anything, and I don't need a record company to make me famous. It's about the music. I want to bring out music the way I want. So that was the starting point. And then, of course, when Lacrimosa got bigger, there came record companies like Sony Music and Warner, and they wanted to buy the rights from Lacrimosa. And I was a couple of times I was talking with those people, and I remember this time I don't tell which company it was, but but I remember one talk with actually a big metal label, and they told me back in 1994 when I played them Chacal, they said, like, if you sign at our label, we don't bring out this album, and we only can tell you if you sign somewhere else, don't bring out the song, because it's much too hard for your fans, the Gothic fans, the Lacrimosa fans. They will hate it, and it's much too dark for the metal fans. They don't understand dark music, because back then Gothic metal didn't exist yet. So they said, like, don't bring it out. And that was when I thought, like, okay, now of course I want to bring it out. And when it became, I mean, we know now the history, what happened out of Chacal, and then the album following, Inferno. If I would have been relying on those record companies, Lacrimosa, I know, wouldn't exist anymore. The history of Gothic metal wouldn't have been written like it was written. And that always gave me the strength and the power for myself to say, okay, I want to continue that way. I don't sign at any label. Of course, that means, like, I don't have a company that works for me. I need to run the company with my possibilities and people. So when I talk to friends who do also bands and are playing with me, for example, on the Bangers Festival, they're like, okay, now after the festival, I'm flying to the sea and I have 2 weeks off, and I'm flying back and sit at my office again and work for the next thing. That's, of course, the bad part of being independent, but in the end, I wouldn't want it any other way.
Great, congratulations for your independent and your vision about the music. The cover of Lament is wonderful, which it's like an angel sculptor. I would like to see it on vinyl. Once it's done on pencil and compared to others, it seems to be the darkest of all.
Absolutely, that was my first vision of it. I mean, since those 3 albums, Testimonium, Leidenschaft, and Lament, are connected with each other, we started with Testimonium already pretty dark, and then Lament, and then Leidenschaft, which was very light as the middle point. And it was the first thought, also in connection with the title Lament, it's got to be the darkest cover of all Lacrimosa albums, because this title is actually the most, let's say, emotional title, and Lament is maybe one of the most emotional or darkest songs. So when I'm composing, I always do sketches from how I could visualize the music, which is, I think, a very important part. I never understand bands who give all the responsibility for the artwork to the record company, because it's so important to visualize what you are doing musically wise. So I sketched this, and of course it was clear it's got to be a statue again, because in the connection of those 3 albums. But I wanted to be a heroic statue that is kind of rotten a bit. So you can see it used to be very heroic and powerful, but now it's old and it's standing there totally alone in a kind of a forest, and this kind of atmosphere. Now I was sitting together with my painter, Stelio Diamantopoulos, and I showed him my sketches and explained him my vision. And and then he did this painting out of those ideas and the sketches. It's actually the way we always work together. I always do my sketches, and then I meet with him. He doesn't listen to the music, not at all. He has no idea of the music. It's just about what I tell him, what my imaginations are, and then he's trying to come closer. Sometimes even we had it like he went in the wrong direction and he had to start all over again until we have the final version of the cover.
Great. You said Leidenschaft and Testimonium are connected. Are they like a trilogy? And if so, could you please tell me more about the concept?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it started actually with Testimonium, not knowing that I would write a trilogy. I was actually just, I mean, this album, Testimonium, was inspired by, you know, the deaths of all the great musicians who died in 2016, David Bowie, Leonard Cohen, George Michael, and there was so many people that that were really important for my musical childhood or youth. And still, of course, I'm a huge fan of David Bowie and Leonard Cohen, and that was the basic inspiration. And then I wrote the song "Wenn unsere Helden sterben," which means when our heroes die. What happens then? Because it was suddenly like, I mean, I didn't know a world before without David Bowie. There was always David Bowie, and there was always like a new album coming out, even though sometimes we had to wait a couple of years. So suddenly, what happens now when they are gone? And then I wrote the song Nach dem Sturm, which means after the storm. And after this song, I realized, no, the storm is not over. It's still inside of me. It's still there. And I don't actually want it to be over. And it felt for the entire album, everything I wrote, I realized that this topic is not done yet. And then I thought, okay, so I do the second part, which was Leidenschaft. And there also the second song of this album is always the second song of each of those three albums. There was the second part of the Storm songs, actually, which has the title Führ mich nochmal in den Sturm, which means lead me back into the storm. And then I wrote this album, but I knew when I wrote it, that's like the cliffhanger, that's in between. This is not the final version or the final album. And then because like also the last song, Exodus, which means like, okay, now I leave this path of sorrow, this path of where I am in the middle of all the things that make it impossible to find my own way. Also, of course, the pandemic. That was the time of the pandemic when I wrote most of the songs. And then it led to Lament, which also has now this second song as the third Storm version, which means, which is called Ein Sturm zieht auf, which means a storm is coming. So actually, this is like, even though it's the last song of those three, it starts with this one. So you can listen to the three songs in a row, but the other way around, actually. And to finalize all that, the last song on the new album, Memoria, is bringing the musical themes of all those three Storm songs together. It starts with the one from Testimonium, continues with a musical theme of Leidenschaft, and ends up with a musical theme of the song from Lament. When you listen carefully to the album, to the new album, and all these versions, you find you'll find where they are connected musically wise. And this is, of course, something very important and special. And now I know this whole thing came to an end with this song, Memoria, which is, of course, the song that we're going to play on stage in Bogota.
Great. Thank you for your description about the concept and the songs. Talking about the set list, do you feel these new songs fit well? How much of new album and how much of the classic material will we hear here?
Well, we do a mixture. I never like it when I go to a concert and I only hear new songs and no old songs that always for example, it was so funny. I was once invited to a concert from a band from which I have all albums except for the new one. And the entire concert, I didn't recognize a single song. So even though they played so bad that it was unrecognizable, or they only played the new album, so it was completely boring. So that's, of course, what we are not doing. We will play many songs from the new album, of course, but also, of course, many songs from the long history of Lacrimosa, and combine them. I wrote a set list which tells kind of a story, because you can combine very well certain songs with each other, which are sometimes very old, but fit very good to new songs. For just an example, on the new album, there's a song, Du bist alles, was ich will, which means you are everything that I want. I used to write a song, Ich verlasse heute dein Herz, which means I take leave of your heart. Those two songs, of course, they fit perfectly together, but there are like 26 years in between. So this is what I really like, to combine those old and new songs together and to merge it into a totally new experience.
Para finalizar esta entrevista, imposible no hablar de la compañera de Tilo Wolff, la cantante Anne Nurmi, que ha estado allí por aproximadamente 30 años. Ella nació en Tampere, Finlandia, y desde muy pequeña se involucró con la música, ya que sus padres la guiaron para hacer parte de corales en iglesias, aprender a tocar el teclado, donde conoció diferentes armonías, y más adelante conformó su propia banda, el grupo de rock gótico Two Witches, que en algún punto cruzó caminos con Lacrimosa y se involucró oficialmente con la banda a partir del álbum Inferno de 1995, que muchos recordarán por ese hit llamado Copycat, y que yo tengo muy presente por su videoclip rotando en diferentes canales de videos. ¿Cómo se ha mantenido esta relación entre Wolff y Anne Nurmi después de tanto tiempo? Así termina nuestra conversación del día de hoy.
It started actually on a tour in 1993. We were touring Germany and had this Finnish support band. That was her band. And I realized that we had, of course, time also in between the shows and stuff, and during sound checks. So we were singing together, and I realized our voices fit perfectly together. And I was searching for a new female singer, because the one I recorded before didn't want to do that kind of music anymore. So I asked her if she wanna sing some stuff in Lacrimosa, and she wasn't so pretty happy anymore with her band, which also actually kind of split up very soon then. So she joined Lacrimosa. And the funny thing is, like, then we discovered we grew up with the same kind of music, both, for example, Bowie fans, but on the other hand, both very, very big Prince fans, which doesn't fit together, actually. Normally in the rock scene, there are not so many Prince fans, but we were both totally addicted in our childhood, and we found things like that out. So our musical paths were like all the time going next to each other until we met, and that, of course, makes us a perfect match for such a band like Lacrimosa, where on one hand, we both like to, and this is also one of the secrets why it works so well, we like to work independently. So when for example, I compose and I'm totally in my own thing, and then when I have a demo ready, I show it to her, I play it to her, I send it to her, and it's the other way around. So we don't need to write together, and nobody's angry when everybody's doing his own stuff, and then we bring it together. And so far there were years where it didn't work perfectly, and most of the times it works perfectly. Now on the new album it worked great again, and that, of course, and when you know each other since so many years, you respect yourself, but you also know what the people is capable, what the other one is capable to do, which makes it very important on such a long tour. For example, like we are going now again, it's with everybody in the band. We are so long together already, which is very important. For example, just our longtime live guitar player JP, we are like an old couple. We started to love each other from the first moment we worked perfectly together. And then there were some years where we like having, after each concert, we were fighting. Everybody left the backstage because they couldn't stand us anymore fighting with each other. And since many, many years, this time through, and we are like, yeah, like an old couple. I mean, he finished a sentence that I start, and because we know now where we stand and who we are, and privately, everybody's living its own life. We have not so much connection actually, which makes it even more beautiful than coming together on tour again.
Estupendo, amigas y amigos Darks. Espero que esta entrevista los haya motivado a no perderse este nuevo show de Lacrimosa, domingo 1 de junio en el centro de la capital. En los comentarios indíquenme si van a ir al concierto, si ven este video posteriormente, cómo les pareció, qué álbumes les gusta más de Lacrimosa y bueno, todo lo que quieran contarme. Los leo a todos, les respondo a todos. Mi nombre es Alejandro Bonilla, ha sido un gusto compartir con ustedes. Quiero invitarlos a que me sigan en mis diferentes redes sociales. No olviden suscribirse al canal. Nos volvemos a encontrar muy pronto para hablar de la música que más nos gusta, rock and roll.